This morning, now onto the race for Speaker of the House. Former President Trump offered his support to House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan for the gavel yesterday, with other Republicans backing the possibility. On the other hand, Democrats say the former president should not be involved in the workings of Congress. Meanwhile, California Congressman Kevin McCarthy says he will be seeking re-election after his ouster as Speaker of the House. McCarthy told reporters at the Capitol that he's not resigning as congressman and does intend to run for re-election in 2024. His comments come after Politico reported the House Speaker may step down before the end of his term, but he told reporters, quote, "I'm not resigning. I've got a lot more work to do." House Republicans will host a candidate forum Tuesday and hold a closed party election Wednesday. There's no timeline for electing a speaker on the House floor. We're joined this morning now by Corey Cook, an executive and vice president, as well as provost for St. Mary's College. Corey, we appreciate you being here this morning.
Good morning.
If you had to predict where Kevin McCarthy's head is at right now and maybe the next decisions he might make, what would you say?
Well, I know better than to predict because, we keep using the word unprecedented, right? This is the shortest term a speaker has had since Reconstruction. He was put in an untenable position to win the speakership, 15 votes. He agreed to a lot of deals in order to become speaker. I think that created the environment where he was unlikely to last the year. That's ultimately what happened. Does he want to throw his hat in as a compromise candidate? I can't imagine that. Historically, speakers don't return to their districts and become backbenchers. Historically, speakers will maybe you run for re-election, resign midterm, and find something else to do with your life. I'll say a lot of folks reported that, as we're seeing the video now from the other night, that he actually was kind of smiling at the end of this, that he sort of a weight was lifted. Ultimately, he was removed from office for cutting a deal to keep the government open. I mean, this is basic governance. And
you take that as like a relief smile? I feel like some could interpret that as like a, I've kind of had enough, like kind of a sarcastic approach.
So he was, sort of one of the young guns, right? So Eric Cantor and Paul Ryan and he were regarded as the future of the Republican Party. All three were gone. Eric Cantor was defeated by a hard right primary challenger. Paul Ryan had his term as speaker, left, not forced out with a motion to vacate, but kind of under similar, terms of like, this place is ungovernable, and left. So now sort of we're left with that era of legislators all being sort of displaced from their positions. To me, I think he's actually somewhat relieved.
The speakership, obviously, even just to get there, you mentioned all the hoops he had to jump through,
right.
The number of votes we had to go through to actually get here. This kind of helped contribute to this schism within the Republican Party, especially within the House Republicans.
That's right.
How does this reflect on the state of House Republicans, and is that a threat in 2024?
Well, the Republican Party is in disarray. There is no way around that. They do not have a governing majority of their caucus. And as a result, it will be interesting to see whether anyone can unite the caucus enough. So you have two major candidates who are seeking the office right now. Steve Scalise, who is very popular among his colleagues, was viewed at one point maybe being an alternative as we were voting 15 times for Kevin McCarthy, that maybe he would be the alternative. Obviously, he ended up supporting the speaker. Their relationship wasn't particularly strong, but he has long been regarded as the person in waiting. Then you have Jim Jordan, who I think, obviously is a hard right. He was on the phone with President Trump on January 6th. He has repeatedly repeated the lies about the election. He is certainly of the firebrand, hard right type that actually took down the last speaker. Do moderates just say, what else can we do and vote for him? Or do we have another round of voting and voting and voting until essentially some kind of compromise emerges?
Do you ever see Democrats kind of contribute to this? I mean, I know we've heard from some on the floor say, well, Hakeem Jeffries is our speaker, and that's just how it's going to stay. Do you see them contributing at all to any of this conversation?
I think if there was some reasonable power sharing agreement, absolutely Democrats would be part of the solution. So there's a problem-solving caucus in Congress, mostly moderates. My understanding is that they were meeting over the weekend in advance of the vote to talk about maybe there's a way of, jointly governing the Rules Committee, for example, as a way of ensuring that some Democrats would step up and support the speaker. Ultimately, that's not a long-term solution, though, right? So any Republican speaker elected with the support of Democrats is going to be facing a motion to vacate.
Sure.
So unless you're changing the rules and making it easier to govern the Republican caucus itself, that's not a long-term solution.
Square peg in a round hole.
That's exactly right.
That's politics.
That's politics.
Corey Cook with St. Mary's College, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you very much.